Senator Abetz.
Thank you, Madam Acting Deputy President. I can indicate on behalf of the Coalition that we will not be supporting the motion, and to seek to curtail the time on this debate, I would, and I know it's not the usual thing to do, but those that do want to reflect on the reasons and rationale, I would draw their attention to the speech I gave on Thursday the 11th of March in the Senate Hansard, commencing on page 19, because that sets out a lot of the reasons. Can I once again put on the record that we accept that Senator Xenophon comes to this with sincerity and genuineness. But what I would also ask him to understand, and also Senator Milne, without getting too upset about these things, that men and women of goodwill can approach a topic and actually come to different conclusions as to how a matter or an issue ought to be dealt with. But it's this extreme nature that we so often see, especially from the Australian Greens, that it's got to be their way or the highway and there's no shade of grey. It's got to be completely their way. Now, I've been asked in relation to a number of matters, I dare say rhetorically, if this is not the way forward, what is? Interestingly enough, given that I've led for the Coalition in this debate, I've received a lot of emails for and against this inquiry. There is one former Scientologist that has emailed me to say that they have reported a matter to the New South Wales Police and it's being investigated. I say to that person, well done, that's the proper way to go. Can I thank Senator Xenophon for bringing three former Scientologists to my office yesterday afternoon, and I see them in the gallery, and I thank them for the time that they spent with me. And out of that discussion, can I simply say, and I'll say this now publicly, in relation to the allegations made by Senator Xenophon about people working long hours and not being paid for them, as I said in that meeting, I will today, and I do so now, publicly call on the Fair Work Ombudsman to examine the records. We do have a Fair Work Ombudsman in this country, formerly the Workplace Ombudsman, just with a different name, but we have such a person who has the power, on the basis of a complaint, to examine. Indeed, of his own volition, the Ombudsman could undertake an examination. And I make that public call today for the Fair Work Ombudsman to follow up. And I'll also give him notice that at Senate estimates in May, I'll be asking the Fair Work Ombudsman as to what he has done in relation to this matter. In relation to allegations of taxation, I say report that to the Australian Tax Office. I remember on one occasion I had concerns about the way the Australian Greens were dealing with their situations financially in relation to the electoral laws. I didn't seek a Senate inquiry into it. I reported the matter to the Australian Electoral Commission, and they undoubtedly made a determination. Similarly with the Wilderness Society, I've got very, very real problems and concerns about the way they do business, which has now been highlighted, and let's remind ourselves that the Wilderness Society is in fact the industrial arm of the Australian Greens, but they have now descended into fiasco with court orders being issued against each other, an AGM being held here that's been declared illegal, another AGM, absolute disarray. Oh, the temptation is sweet to have a Senate inquiry into the Wilderness Society, but would it be the right thing to do? And the answer is, I've got to say, I think no. What I have done in the past with the Wilderness Society is referred my concerns to the Australian Taxation Office. And they have, I believe, according to law, dealt with those matters appropriately. In this public debate about whether there should be such an inquiry. I've heard raised all manner of things, that we've had inquiries into Australia Post. Yes, but with respect, that's a government business enterprise, and I would say that that's different. Has the Senate had an inquiry into whether Tasmania ought to have an AFL team? Yes, we have. But can I tell you, despite being a Tasmanian, passionately wanting a Tasmanian team in the AFL, I actually got some criticism in my home state of Tasmania for not supporting such a move because I thought it was inappropriate. So I would like to think myself and the Coalition come to this debate with absolutely clean hands and a consistency of purpose, because I say to those in this place, do we have the power to have such an investigation? You betcha, absolutely. But the way individual freedoms are protected in this country is not by the government or the parliament using all the powers that are potentially available to it. In relation to the motion dealing with unconscionable, misleading and deceptive conduct, I am reminded of a leader of a political party in this place who claimed that if he had to pay his legal bills, he would become bankrupt and would therefore have to forfeit his seat in the Senate. The bill was only about $200,000. He had assets and a capacity to mortgage and get a loan. But nevertheless, he put that out there, aided and abetted by, I must say, nearly a compliant and sycophantic media in this country. But nevertheless, and then he said, I'm opening an account, or people can donate. And donate they did. And not only did he raise $200,000, when the amount of money that was required had been raised, did he then put out a media release saying, stop donating please, that which I have called for has come in? No, he allowed the fund to keep going, didn't he, Senator Milne? From 200,000 to 400 to 600 to 800 to $1 million and more. And people were genuinely donating, thinking they were saving Senator Bob Brown from bankruptcy and expulsion from the Senate, when he already had more than 200,000, more than the money needed, in his own back pocket. And I say in his own back pocket because the money was paid into an account that only bore his signature.
No, what?
And
Senator Milne.
Point of order, Madam Acting Deputy President. I'd ask Senator Abetz to withdraw that. As he well knows, Senator Brown has conformed with all of the disclosure provisions required in this Parliament. All the details of that account are clearly there on the disclosure provisions of the Parliament for everyone to see.
Senator Abetz. Senator Milne, this is a debating point, but I will draw your attention to the motion that we have before us in relation to Senator Xenophon's.
Thank you, which seeks an inquiry into unconscionable, misleading and deceptive conduct, and I thought I was making the point so exceptionally well that it forced Senator Milne to seek to raise a spurious point of order, and those in the gallery listening and those reading the Hansard in the future will note that the allegation that I actually made about the money going into his personal account only bearing his signature was not denied. In relation to the disclosure, it's a great sense of disclosure when you can put in $10,000 anonymous. Great disclosure. And that is disclosure according to the Australian Greens. But enough of that.